Looks like Motionbuilder crashed on beginning. I'm going to give you a little overview what this process is, because it involves another skeleton. Characters, samples, names, characters. So I'm going to be working with the humanoid because he's sort of average height. Actually, yeah, let's go with that for now, and then I'll choose Gremlin after to be able to scale the data. So, you know, this is a normal character with the skeleton and the control rig. We've all know this by so far. So the C3D that I showed you last week, which is OptiTrack right here. We'll do carry. We'll use Styra this time. I'm going to import the C3D with options. Always, the first one you import, the C3D, always do create. I'll show you what the merge does after. Okay, so now you have a character with a control rig and the C3D. There's no way currently that I know of, or maybe there is, but I'm not sure, to link the control rig to the C3D. The only way to do this is we need to bring in from the template folder something called an actor. So if you go in here, characters, templates, characters, actor, it's right beside the character, so don't confuse it with the character. The character is to characterize the skeleton, to create the control rig, create the definition. So the Mocap one is called actor. It's this little guy. It's like a skeleton. So you merge that in, and then it gives you this one. I call him Blue Dude, just because he's kind of blue. So this will become, this guy will become the link between your control rig and the C3D. That's the basic gist of it. So now if I click on the control rig, see right now in character drop-down list, there's the humanoid and there's the actor. This is what we call the actor, the one we just dropped in. So what you need, in essence, you need humanoid to be driven by the actor. So you choose character humanoid, and then in source, instead of the control rig driving it, you will tell it to be driven by the actor. And then you will see him snap to that position. There is an offset. Don't worry too much about it. We'll go through it step by step. So now as soon, and then in the actor, over here, the process is you create a marker set. Marker set means all these markers will be assigned to these spheres or circles. So then the markers will drive the actor, and the actor will drive the control rig or the character. Hope I didn't confuse anybody, but that's like the basic gist of it. So markers assigned to the actor, the blue dude, and then the actor is driving the control rig, because the control rig, the source, is being driven by the actor. Okay? So that's the gist of it. Let's go step by step, and hopefully it should be all, it's a bit clearer. Okay, so I'm gonna open up Gremlin. So the first step is we need to prepare the character, bring in an actor, and make the actor aligned with the skeleton. So that's the first step. So if you go in, I'm gonna open up the Gremlin because I need to pick a shorter character because I want to show you how to scale the markers to fit the character. Okay. So open all. So now we have the Gremlin. Actually, the Gremlin is not a good idea because, so see this offset here in the hips. It's not a good idea. Maybe let me see if I pick Willard. Might be better. Willard is bigger. Yeah, Willard is a bit better. So let's go with Willard because he doesn't have the. Anytime you see an offset between the hips and the up leg or thigh joint, it's not good. That's why I showed you the Mixamo stuff in the beginning, because Mixamo aligns those. It has a good base for the skeleton. If you see an offset between the hips and the thighs, it's going to create problems in the animation. Yeah. You can, but you're going to need to redo, like in Maya, right? You're saying you're kind of might be able to. Let's see if it works. Nah, it changes the pivot point, but it doesn't update the visual. I'm sure there's a way to do it. For now, try to use the Mixamo for new characters. Even if you want to use the Gremlin, I suggest uploading the mesh to Mixamo to have a proper joint, proper skeleton. So it's better. You're going to get less problems later on. Okay, so let's go with Willard. If you don't see the skeleton, just select Willard and click this little guy here. So now we should see the skeleton. Okay, so I'm going to bring in the actor, right? Like we discussed. Element, templates, characters, actor. And first thing, you're going to see these big, huge capsules. The capsules are not representative of the actor skeleton. So we're not going to use the capsules. We're going to hide them. Okay. So if you go in the blue button, make sure you're in character actor, the one we dropped in. Show, you will see these little dots. Just click on it so to detach the menu. I wish all the menus are like this. For some reason, it's only this. There's only a couple of these that work like that. Anyways, so this is how you show and hide the capsules. So if you go actor body, you will hide them. And actor skeleton is those boxes that you see. Okay, so I like to see the different color of the skeleton, so I'm going to make them a little bit brighter. So if you hold down spacebar and right mouse click, you select all the actor skeleton. You go in properties and actor settings and skeleton color. You just click on the purple 3 dots and change it to yellow. What we're going to need next is we're going to need the pivot points of these should we call it body parts. Okay, so the way to display them is just click on pivot points. So you're going to see these little, these are the axis pivots of each body part. The thing with moving the body parts is you cannot do this. Okay? Like the control rig or the skeleton. You cannot do, because the actor skeleton is one of the oldest features inside Motionbuilder, and it hasn't been updated for a while, so it has some issues. It has some stuff you cannot undo, so just be very careful with the steps you're doing. So the way to move these is through the properties pane. The only bone that you can move is the body bone, the first one, the hips, the parent one. So this one you can move because technically it doesn't have a pivot. It's just the parent of all the skeleton. So the first step we need to do is move the hips to match. I like to make the skeleton to kind of see-through. So if you hold down mouse space bar, right mouse, click, you'll select all the skeletons. You click one on the keyboard, it goes see-through. So this is like kind of a see-through mode, box mode. So now I can see the actor skeleton and the character skeleton underneath. The character skeleton is the joints. Yeah. Space bar, hold down space bar and right mouse click. It's not displaying? Yeah, it's not displaying the mouse clicks. Is it? Yeah, it is. Oh, it's super fast. Yeah. Just press 1 on the keyboard. Now working? Okay. Did it work? If it's not working, you can switch the... If you go in settings, interaction mode, make sure you're using Motionbuilder. If it's Maya, it might be doing something else because it's using Maya shortcuts. Try it. Ça marche? Okay. I'm sure there's a shortcut in Maya, but I don't know what it is. 4? Okay. Yeah, wireframe in Maya is 4, yeah. It's actually the wireframe mode. That's what it is, display mode. Okay, so I'm going to move the hips to match roughly the hip joint of the character, right? So doesn't have to be perfect, just close to. And the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to scale the actor parts, okay? So if you press scale right here, you scale the body parts. It's weird, right? You cannot move, but you can scale. So it's one of those things. So you scale the first one to align the pivot point, the orange one, to the first joint of the spine, this one basically. I can't select it because they're on top of each other, but it's this joint, okay? And we do the same with the next one. See? So now these two joints are aligned with the character joint. And the last one on the spine, we align the neck joint to the neck joint. Again, it doesn't have to be perfect. Please do not use rotation on the spine or the hips. Like, do not do this, because what happens is the arm pivots get twisted. So be careful not to use rotation. We did that last year, and it messed up. All the motion had an offset like this. He was like walking like he has back problems. So kind of like me actually sometimes. So scale the neck. This one, don't worry too much about it. The head is not a big, huge deal. It's all the other body parts. Okay, so now we can do the arms as well. We have to. Where do we do the arms? Obviously, we cannot do this. Don't do this, because see, now the body part is disconnected from the pivot. This is super bad. It will mess up all your mocap. So where do we do this? We go in Properties, Body Part Pivots, and we have selected the left collar, which is left shoulder. They don't even match the names. Let me see. Yes. So yes, the names don't even match. So again, one of those things. Left collar equals left shoulder. So now what do is XYZ, you can input the numbers. If it's moving too fast, you can hold down Alt and right mouse hold and drag. This will give you kind of finer increments, smaller movement. Okay, so it's good on the X now. Now we need to move it on the Z. Close enough. And maybe a little bit on the Y. Okay, so the scaling on the arms is mirrored on the right side. So if we scale the X, see, it's mirroring the scale on the other side. So you don't have to worry about scaling on the other side. What we need to worry about is the rotation. Because now if we put the snap on and we rotate to match this pivot to this pivot, we need to apply kind of the same rotation on the other side. So I highly suggest maybe using 5-degree snaps. So if you right click on the snap tool, go in Preferences, and here Rotation Snap Angle, just put 5. So now, and turn it on. Now if you use the rotation, you will snap in 5-degree increments. So now you can match it on the other side. Yeah. Yes, the spine. Only the spine. The spine and the hips. Don't rotate the spine and the hip bones. The rest of the body parts are okay. Sorry, yeah, I should have been more clear. So you can rotate a little bit like this to match, and then it's kind of in the right. Okay, I'm gonna freeze the mesh. And I'm gonna save before I crash. So I'm gonna save this guy in characters, Willard. Make sure you put actor, because this way you know that Willard has been characterized, kind of ready for mocap. Okay? So scale this guy a little bit. Then use this one. Rotate. As you can see, the elbows are way off, so we need to scale it to match the elbow. Rotate. Yeah, okay. and scale the elbow bone to match the wrist. Don't worry about the fingers, because the stuff coming from the mocap room, we don't capture fingers, so you don't have to worry about it. Okay, so we've done the left arm. We need to do the right arm. So you can copy paste the same values to move the shoulder joint, right? So if you go on the X, copy 5.4. On the right shoulder, it's actually minus the same digits, because it's crossing the, so if you look at the grid, this is 0, 0 of the world, okay? X is the positive, X is this way to the right. See, like the world pivot here, right? You guys know about the axis. And the other side is negative X. So we need to go negative 5.4. This is as much scripting as you're going to do in my class. It's not actually scripting. Right? And the other ones, you could do copy-paste, because Y is the same and Z is the same. Right? Right. Yeah. So now the scale is already set for us. We could just rotate. All right. It's good. Save. Now, same thing for the hips. The hips is a little bit easier, because you can rotate both legs at the same time. We'll get to that in a minute. So minimize the shoulders and go to the hips, left hip. Same process. Hold down spacebar. Move it incrementally. Sometimes it's better to go in front view. Yeah, I'm way off. That's a good. Y. And right view, F to zoom in. And we're way off on the Z. Cool. Cool, cool, cool. Okay. So we can copy those values on the right hip. So minus 8.4 and the rest. And right, I always get mixed up. That's it. Okay, so now the pivots is good. Let's check the knee. So it's a bit off. Actually, no, I lied. I don't think you can rotate both, because if we, yeah. Sorry, you need to rotate separately. Okay, so you do this to align kind of the elbow joints. So it's a bit off, so we can scale one of them. Not the middle one. Be careful. Even with the arms, try to scale the first one. So left shoulder, not left shoulder roll, left arm roll. It's always the parent one. Same thing here. Scale this one, not this one. Okay, so scale this guy. It's hard to see with the mesh, so I'm going to hide the mesh a little bit. Okay. That's close. Yeah. pivot points in here. Show hide pivot points. So rotation is a little bit off, so I'm gonna remove this snap and I'm gonna align it manually. It's okay. So let's say 3.6. We're gonna try to replicate it on the other side. Minus 3.6. There we go. And okay, so now you can rotate both on this axis because it just works on this axis because you can rotate like this. When you're rotating like left to right, it doesn't work because you're rotating both at the same time. But back to front, you can rotate both at the same time. Good. And now, last but not least, is the knees. We can scale them. Okay. Okay, so the pivot is a little bit off, so we can rotate the thighs. And rotation, let's see if this works. Yeah, rotate the top one, right? Don't rotate this one like this. It's gonna break the knee. Your knees don't do that, so you have to rotate the thighs, okay, to get the ankle joint properly aligned. Don't worry too much about the toes. Toes is sometimes they transfer, sometimes they don't, so don't worry too much about it. So I think, oh, I missed the other side. So what did I do here? 2.8. Minus 2.8. Let's check. All good. Okay, so I think, yeah, we're ready. So I'm going to save this guy. So now we're ready to bring in the markers and assign the markers to the actor. Okay? Yeah. So we said we're going to go with, where is it? Sources, C3D, the carry. Okay, so I'm going to bring in C3D options, create. So it creates a new take with the name of the C3D. Okay, so Jeremy carry 001. So this one is the one I believe two people were carrying each other. Yeah, that's cool. Let's do that one. So we're only gonna process Tara's movements, but it's the same process for both. It's not. If you have two characters, you need to bring in two characters and do the same process. But for today, it's only one. So Tyra's here. I'm going to hide the Jeremy's data. Sorry, Jeremy. And hide these markers. So if you go in Navigator, Jeremy all the way down, and then right-click. No? Well, the shortcut is Shift H. But if you go in schematic view, press F. This is all Jeremy's data. You right-click, hide selection. So now, if we go back in perspective, we don't see him. Don't hide the ball. You need the ball. This one is the parent for both. It's when you move around. So right now she's facing, this is the toes, so she's facing this way. Be careful with this step. You need to rotate the C3D. If you have two characters, and normally they should be facing the same way. So rotate the C3D to match where the character is facing, your actor is facing. The way to know this, if you see the toe tip pointing this way, means she was facing this way, or the opposite way. Because she starts moving, yeah, see, she starts moving that way. So take the parent, rotate with snap, go 10 degrees, and then rotate 180. I like to use snap because it's visual. You can see it here. See, it gives you 45, 90, whatever. Okay, so now we need to scale this data, the cloud data, to match what the character, what the scale of the character. We have to scale it. It's better. You can still go ahead like this, but if you scale it, it will give you better placement and better motion on the character. And the way to do this, you select the sphere, scale, and you scale up global. Don't do this. Don't do this. You're gonna get some weird results. Always scale globally. With the way to do it, this little yellow gizmo here, that's how you scale globally. If you want to double check what your scale is, always check here the scale. All the numbers should be equal. Okay? If you do this by mistake, check again, 1.7, 1.2, then this is no good. So scale from here, from the yellow gizmo. Okay, so what do we need to scale up to? Yes? The sphere usually in the middle. It should be right on top of the optical data. So if you go in Navigator and drop down the scene, or there's actually a grouping called opticals. C3D opticals, yeah. You see it? Yeah, just select the sphere and then you scale it.
I selected it, but for some reason my settings
And you go view, display, X-ray. You see it now?
no.
Okay, I'm gonna come. Okay, so I'm gonna do this super quick. You guys know all the tips. I'm not gonna go through all the tips again. So import, create, and actually maybe I can save this one. Hold on. Let me see. Maybe I can delete. Yeah, I'll just delete this one and start from here. We can already scaled, and we rotated the. You rotate the actor parts to fit the C3D, and then no. Okay, good. So we've already done that. We scaled the C3D. We rotated the actor skeleton to fit the C3D. And now we're ready to assign the markers to the actor. Okay, so in the actor, Navigator, go in the actor, marker set, create, use the selection mask in here. So 5 for the head, and 4 for the spine. Right? Yeah. 5 for the hips. 2 elbows. Sorry, 2 shoulders, 2 elbows here. And 2 wrists. So you don't need to use all the markers, just the ones specified for the body part. Like this one, we don't need. Same thing. Elbow, elbow. Wrist. And the extremities. Knees. And ankle. That's the ankle. Yeah. Heel and the 2 toes. Toe tip. Heel and the 2 toes. And the ankle out. All right. We're in business. Activate. Ooh. Did it work? Oh, yeah. Okay. There's less snapping this time. We did something better. Okay. Cool? Is that cool? You caught up? Okay. So yes, I'm gonna. We don't have to clean the whole thing. I just want you to stop practicing it. Let's clean maybe. Whatever, 500. Let's go up to 400. Okay. Because half of you might not use this method in the previous. I guarantee all of you are going to use the easy mocap. Okay, so I'm just going to go to one frame to show you something. Okay, this one is bad. Yeah, let's go with this one. 303, okay? So I'm going to take a screenshot of this. Actually, maybe a better view, so you can see I'm really broken. Because before we start cleaning the data, I want to show you something we call rigid body. So what is a rigid body? Sorry. So when these markers get lost, like this, see the dark blue? That means they have no data. They don't know. Something gets occluded. It's the distance between the marker and the camera. Something gets obstructed, so it loses the camera. It doesn't know what to do. That's when you start getting these pops on the character. The rigid body will fix that. Will fix that marker that gets lost. So think of it as a cluster of markers. So before we start cleaning, yes. Can you? I never tried that. You need to re-import. Depends which marker. Sometimes like this marker that we didn't assign, you could keep going, But if maybe one of the head markers is okay, actually the rigid body might actually keep going, because the rigid body might compensate. Okay. Okay. It's because you're missing maybe the. Okay, keep that file. Maybe we can fix it. Keep it. Keep it. I can show you a little trick after, but it's not going to be. I'm going to try to finish in half an hour, but we can go through it after. So how to create a rigid body is the first thing you need to do. The navigator needs to show the curve. So if you double click on any marker, it will automatically go to navigator showing the curve. Say it again.
Do I follow your instructions with the whole rigid body thing, or do I wait for
I would follow. I mean, it's not gonna save this. Save as another scene. Try to follow, and we'll see what happens. So, rigid body is select the head markers, and the shortcut for this is Shift B. So this is the cluster I was talking about. It's a cluster of the 5 markers. If one gets lost, it will be compensated by the other 4. This is the definition of a rigid body. So how many rigid bodies do we need? We need 1, 2 for the spine, including the shoulders, because think of it as like a kind of a body part. So head, spine with the shoulders, because it's like part of the the shoulders. 2 arms, the hips, and the leg is 1 rigid body too, from the thighs to the foot. Okay, so I'm going to select the markers for the spine and the shoulder. Shift B. Same thing for the arm. Shift B. You can select the marker that you didn't assign to the actor. It's okay. Hips. And legs. Be careful not to select the sphere. I don't know what happens if you do, but just Control deselect it. And be careful not to select markers from the other foot. Okay, Shift B. And then same thing here. Shift B. Hey, what happened here? It didn't create. Oh, is it display problem? I thought I clicked it. Let's try it again. Okay, strange. I think it's there, but it's not showing. I'm just gonna see. Okay, it's missing one. Weird. Okay, it's just a hiccup. Okay, save. So now I'm going to show you what that exact frame looks like after the rigid bodies is created. So what was it? 303. See, it fixes 80% of the problems. So, yeah. Yeah, before you start cleaning the curves, which I'm going to show you in a bit, do the rigid bodies, because it solves 80% of the problems, where the markers get lost. And because the other markers will compensate, the other markers in the rigid body will compensate for the lost markers. So now if we press play, we should see way less poppiness. There's still some there. It's funny. Yeah, the floating stuff is all good. It's just when she climbs on the table, because those are contacts, and it was probably occluded by somebody else, because there was four people in the volume, so it gets occluded by the other people. Okay, so I want to focus on just cleaning the getup on the table. Okay, so the next step is we start looking at the markers. Where do we see pops? Okay, so if we go in here, actually, it's easier to. Okay, so right now we don't need. We can start hiding stuff. We don't need everything on the screen. So if we go to actor and uncheck the skeleton, so to hide the, or actually no, we can go show again. So we hit the skeleton. We don't need the pivot points, so we just keep the markers. Okay. Even we don't need the skeleton on the skeleton, character skeleton. So now we just see the marker and the mesh. So where does it pop? Let's see. So this is kind of the first pop here. It's small. See? You see a dark marker. It went to the dark side. So you double click on it, and what you're going to see here when you double click is, let's see, I can squeeze it out. Yeah. So the data on the markers is represented what we call segments. So a segment is a chunk of data, a chunk. So you will see here, as I scrub, it will highlight where you are or which segment you are. So this is one segment, this is one segment, and this is what the green ones. In here, there's no segment. Okay? Why? Because it got occluded. Okay? But there's still interpolation going on. So you see this little up dip. This is what's causing the bad interpolation. So what we could try in the beginning is changing the interpolation of the curve of this marker. Okay. So if we go in the empty space where there's no segment, actually, is there? Yeah. Okay. There's no segment here. It's empty. And in here is where you change the interpolation of that segment. So right now you see the little up dip. By default, it's always auto rigid body. So you can change the interpolation to, you could try, the first try is auto Bezier. It kind of gives a better interpolation. There's still a marker messing up here, but it's not causing the character to pop. So I wouldn't worry about it too much. As long as it's not affecting the character, don't worry about it too much. So if you want to see the bad curve, see? You just select it and you will see the sudden spike, if you want to call, on the curve. Okay? So what do you do here? If you want to fix it, in this case you don't need to because it's not affecting the data. if you do want to fix it, you could just go to the segment. And remember in story mode we were cutting clips to remove the bad stuff or to blend it better with something else? It's kind of the same process where you go to the segment and you split the segment. So now this big segment is split in two. So you go to this segment that you want to delete to make the curve better, and you press remove segment. So now it just interpolates between this and this. Still, you can change the interpolation to auto Bezier. And then it's all good. So I want to fix this too. See here? If it's flipping, let's see where the spike happens on the segment. It's definitely not this one. So there's a little bit of back and forth. Just try to see which marker kind of goes haywire. That's the one you should be looking at. Let me see. This one is kind of staying. It must be this one. Let's see. Zoom out a little bit so you see the XYZ. Each curve has an XYZ just like any other object in the scene. Sometimes you have to zoom in super close to see the spike in the curve. Let's see this one. Nope. Maybe it's the knees one. Let me see. If it's one frame too. Yeah, in this case, if you can't find it, you're probably better off trying to delete the the pose when you plot on the control rig. So let me see, maybe this one. I think it's this one. There's a little pop here. Let's try it. Because that's the one moving on that frame. So I'm going to try to delete the segment, split, go to this segment where it's messing up, delete. Let's see what happens. And we can change try to change the interpolation. No, it's still messing up on one frame, but it's not showing me which one. This one is already changed. I'm going to check the knees one. Maybe there's something on the knees. Because once you create the cluster, the rigid body, everything above kind of affects it. So you need to maybe check the top ones. No, they're good. actually. Okay, so I'm going to try to, okay, so this marker, I think maybe I found it. This marker, if you can see here, there's no segment to it, so it doesn't have any data. But we have data coming from, if you see this little red cross, you can actually tell this marker to follow this cross, because this cross is not being used by any marker. So what do? Is you select this marker and you just click on the red cross, okay? See, now it follows it, but it didn't fix the problem. We might have to do it with the other one. As you can, it's a little bit tricky, but I mean, I'm going to try to delete this segment too. Maybe it's going to fix. Split. Run here. Remove. Let's see. Change the interpolation. Oof. Okay, sometimes the auto Bezier doesn't give you what you need. Should just default back to the auto rigid body. I think that's probably as clean as possible for that location that we can get it to. So let's move on to something else. Okay. Be careful with the undos with these markers, because if you delete a segment, you cannot undo it. So just keep saving frequently. I highly suggest saving in increments as well, because if you delete a segment by mistake, you cannot undo and you cannot go back. So save in increments, like every maybe hour or so, just save. So you have a backup. Okay? So let's check where else. The arm here is twitching. So let's see if we can fix it. Yeah, there's already markers that are messing up. So here there's no segments, so we can just change the interpolation. Always remember to be on the segment or interpolation space where you want to change. You cannot be looking here and your frame is here and you expect it to change. So move back, change the interpolation, then move forward, change the interpolation. As you can see, it's a lot better, the arm. It still messes up here, but it's not affecting the character that much. Right, see? So you don't have to worry about cleaning every curve. As long as the character follows and there's no major pops, you should be okay. So now maybe the knee is, yeah, right here. So let's see what we can do. It's this one. Yeah, so now you can see the dip. You can actually see which one moves up and down super fast. So this way it's more visual to know where the problem is. So the problem is right here. Oh, by the way, moving the slider in here is different than moving the slider in here, if you noticed. Here, you see, you're actually moving between the frames. So you have better refinement where do you want to delete the segments. Up here is you're moving on the frames. You're snapping on the frames. So I prefer if you guys use this, because you can control better where to delete the segments. So I want to delete here, split, go forward and delete. Remove. Does it fix the problem? Yes, kinda. I'm just going to delete a little bit into this one too. So it gives me kind of a change the interpolation. Let's see. It's still, maybe there's another marker in there. Actually, I see some problems here. So I'm just going to advance to see what kind of, yeah, here it's messing up a lot. So I'm just going to change the interpolation to see if it, yeah, it fixes kind of the problem. So it must be, must be another marker somewhere in here. It's the same process for all the markers. I'm not going to bore you with doing everything. So I would do from 0 to 400. You get the idea. Any questions before I show you how to bake the control rig? Okay. So after you've done the cleanup on the markers, like this, selecting the marker and cleaning up the segments, you're happy with the result, the usual bake, right? So right now character is being driven by actor. You just actually no, use this one. Bake to control rig, 3 dots. There's no control rig, so you will need to create it. Plot, bake. So now, if we hide, well, you see you kind of see the control rig. I can't hide the rigid bodies, unfortunately. But now, see, it's being driven by the control rig, all nice and clean. Well, the parts that I cleaned, anyway, not the other stuff. Up to here, yeah. One last thing before you guys start the lab is, so you don't have to do the setup on every motion. Okay? You know, the setup with assigning the markers to the actor, everything. Per session, you only have to do it once. Okay? Because we captured all these on that day, right? We captured 4 with Tara and Jeremy. So the setup has to be done once, but then you can import those on top of the setup, the same setup. The way to do it is you select the sphere, the parent, the optical data, motion file import, because I don't think the merge works. It might work, but I'm not sure. Actually, let's try it. I'm going to try to merge. So we have carry 001, right? I want to merge. Okay, you can only merge on one. It's better to go this way then. Motion file import. I believe it was, well, you probably would copy those files locally. It's better. Go in 2020, update track, C3D, and then you multiple select the other ones, the punch, the push-up, and the sitting. Make sure you select the sphere. Did I select the sphere? I think I did. Let's see. So in here, instead of create, so create is the first one you import by default. When you import the other ones, excuse me, you select merge because it's going to merge on top of that same sphere. The reason it works is because the markers have the same name. Okay? You cannot do that with another session with different actors. It only works because that session we used the same actors, the same people in the suit. If the second week we captured with Megan and somebody else, you have to redo the setup that we did with the markers. Cool? So merge, import, and now, yes, so I did select the sphere. So now you're going to have the punch. Jeremy is hidden because he was hidden on the previous one. This is Tyra. Yeah. And you have the push-up. The rigid bodies gets transferred as well, so you don't have to worry about rigid bodies. Everything is the same except the C3D cleanup, because those are separate on each take. They're different data, right? Okay, good. I remembered something before we break too. So the reason we remember when we were putting the actor wrists to match the C3D wrists is, if you can see here, if we didn't do that, if we kept it at, let's say his wrists are here but the markers are here, you would not get this. The markers will not be, his hand, his wrists will not be flush on the floor. They would be somewhere in here because we didn't move them. So that's the reason why you need to put, if your character is not human, regular human proportion, it's better to put the actor wrists on the marker wrists. Because you're going to, anything contact with the environment, you will get it for free. And you can play with the, remember when we did last week the reaches? You can play with these. You can actually animate these. So imagine he's doing push-up. He's here. You don't need the reach. Remember, the reach is the IK stuff, right? So in here, as soon as he's there, can key, oops. Why? Cannot select. Okay, I'm just going to key it. So when he's starting to do the push-up, you can put these at 100. Okay? So what happens now? They're super contact with the ground. When he stands up, you can put it back to, you see the difference now? They're going back to, the difference is not huge, but without it, the hands will float. That's what's going to happen. Okay, that's it. So use the same Willard, use the same Jeremy Carey, and just clean up from 0 to 400. I don't want you to clean up the 2,000 frames because it's just an exercise. And I want you to get it as smooth as possible. The motion should be very smooth, should not have any pops. So I'll put the info on Moodle, what I'm going to grade on. So actor setup, the marker assignments, and the cleanup of the curves, deleting, removing segments. Cool? Any questions? Okay. Yeah. Yes, I'll be right with you. Cool. You can break and come back in 5, and you can do the lab stuff. Thank you, guys.